Hello and welcome to the show. Listen, I am so glad that you joined us today. Happy New Year again. I'm telling you, I'm so excited. This is 2024. As they say, more in 2024. How about that? And this year, we are living our dreams and enjoying life. That's what it's all about. I want you to live those dreams. You know, God has given each of us visions. And so we have to begin to believe and trust and know that those visions will come to fruition. Thank you so much, KJ. Happy New Year. We've got a great show planned for you. Now, I'm telling you, this phenomenal woman, Miss Latisha Walker, Mrs. Latisha Walker, city councilwoman, and she has an amazing, amazing story. As I said to you in the promos, she's the first of many Black African American women just doing it and doing it and doing it well. And so listen, she's going to come and she's going to join us, and I'm excited about it. And I'm excited that you joined us today. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy. It's coming up next.
The Cecil Williams South Carolina Civil Rights Museum is the Palmetto State's first and only museum. It honors a generation of people, Black and white, throughout the state of South Carolina who deserve to be remembered for their unselfish commitments and sacrifices. Enjoy an immersive and entertaining virtual tour. For more information, visit www.cecilwilliams.com.
Hello, everybody. It's Finkley of The Michael Finkley Show, and you're watching Gold right now. Why? You're watching The Tammy Show. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the show. Told you we've got a great show planned for you. And again, I want to welcome you and I want to thank you for joining us. Listen, our next guest, this guest that I have on, I'm excited about her because when you sit down and you talk to her, you talk about a real person and you talk about living your dreams. I can't say anything more. Retired law enforcement officer, city councilwoman for the Orangeburg County Council District 7, founder and CEO of the Tiffany Grant Foundation, certified business coach and holds an honorary doctorate degree in business philosophy, Dr. Latisha, made history as the first African-American woman promoted to the rank of investigator in Orangeburg County Sheriff's Office, and the first African-American woman promoted to the rank of lieutenant in the Alcohol Enforcement and Vice Services Unit with the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. What more can I say about her? Amazing, phenomenal, and just a kind person. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring her out from backstage. Come on out, Dr. Latisha Walker.
Hello. How you doing, Miss Tammy?
I am doing well. How are you? And I forgot to add, best-selling author too. All right, folks. It's great having you on the show, Latisha.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here. I'm so grateful that you asked. Thank you.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Well, listen, you know, the show is about you telling your story. And when we sat in the office together and we were talking. That's my sorrow. Okay, Connie. You have such an inspiring story. And I want you to tell us Who is Latisha Walker? Kind of walk us through that a little bit.
Okay, so Latisha Walker is a wife, a mother, a forward thinker committed to innovation, change, and providing solutions. I am spiritually led. I am nothing without my Father, Jesus Christ. And I know that it's nothing special about me. It's the anointing and favor that He has on my life.
Yeah. And you know, when you talk about favor, Latisha, would you mind sharing your story about your beginnings? Because, see, people got to realize that even though they see this glory right now, they don't really know what happened, the story that actually got you to this point. So I kind of want you to share a little bit about that, if you would.
Sure. So at the age of 18, I left home, was homeless, sleeping in my car, but was still going to school. I had a relative who was kind enough to let me come by her house in the morning so that I could wash and prepare for school. And then I would go to school
Oh,
and be on my way. The day of my graduation, my college graduation, I was alone. I didn't have anyone there. To this day, I don't have any pictures of my college graduation, my first college graduation. But I take it in stride. I, I don't I don't look at that as a barrier because I know in life you have obstacles, and the obstacles create the person that you're intended to be. So I don't look at that as a bad situation. Of course, I would love to have pictures and memories to show my children, but it is what it is at this point because God gave me much more, and He
right.
prepared me for what I was able to receive because of that.
Right. And you know, when you shared that story with me, and I thank you for sharing it with us and being so transparent, because there are some folks that may be on here that are listening and they may want to give up. But my question to you is, what kept you going? What made you say, I'm not going to give up, even in my circumstances?
I just wanted more, you know. For whatever reason, I always felt like I was supposed to do more. I didn't want to be like my surroundings, what I saw. I always just wanted to be different than what I was around for the most part.
And when we talk about your surroundings, we talk about wanting to be different and knowing that there was something more for you, because it's always that little voice, isn't it, Letitia, that says, there's more. I have more for you. You got to keep going. You got to keep doing. What inspired you to be work in the public arena where you are now as Ellsworth County Councilwoman?
Okay, so excuse me, growing up, my father was a homicide detective with NYPD. And when I say I wanted to be more than my surroundings, we're talking about growing up in the streets of New York during the time in the 70s and 80s. The crack epidemic, all of those things. So I knew a lot of people who got caught up in that era. Um, People that I went to school with, there were young girls during that time that had gotten addicted to crack, and family members. And like I said, I just did not want to be what I saw.
Mhm.
So I was motivated to be different. Like I said, I've never. There's so many things. Some people call me a cornball because there's a lot of things that I've never done, don't want to
Mm.
do. Glad I've never done.
Mhm.
Um, but I just, like I said, God was with me. That's all I can say is God.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he was my father, and he led me.
That's right. And see, you're a New Yorker, and you still hear that in you, even though you've been in South Carolina. How long now, Letitia?
Long, long, long time, long time.
and you still hear that New York accent in what you're doing. But you're a public servant. And the one thing that I know about you is that I can hear and I see what you do in the community. So I want to talk to you about law enforcement. As you said, your father was a homicide detective. Was that a part of you wanting to go into law enforcement? What inspired you to go into law enforcement?
Well, growing up in New York with NYPD, it was like a family. It was a family environment. I also went to the PAL, the Police Athletic League, and I went there like for after school programs, school, and I was around it all the time. It was more so like a family environment, um, and just being around it, growing up around it. That's what I knew,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Mm-hmm.
looked like a lot of fun.
And so when you got in it, was it look? It looked like a lot of fun, but again, being a part of law enforcement, you have to be a special person.
Absolutely,
You really
absolutely.
have to be a special person to be a law enforcement officer, and you are special because being the first African American woman in South Carolina, as lieutenant in alcohol enforcement and vice services, and then being the first to be promoted to the rank of investigator in Orangeburg County. How did that make you feel? I mean, how did that happen?
During the time I didn't know. I just thought that I was getting promoted. I had no idea. So I remember the late great Papa Johnson uh, called me in his office when I was working for the Orangeburg County Sheriff's Office, and he asked me. He said, "Young lady, how do you feel about going to work narcotics?" And I was like, "Sure," not knowing that I was the first to have done
Wow.
it. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know until later. Also with SLED, when I went to SLED and I got promoted because I was a training officer first, they called them field training agents. So
Mm-hmm.
then I became a senior field training agent, but I had no idea that I was still the first to do this. So I didn't know until after it was already done that I was the first.
Right. And so, how does that make you feel? I mean, you're a trailblazer, because if anybody's looking and there are young people watching, they're saying, "Oh my God, she did all of this." How does that make you feel when people say you're a trailblazer?
Um, Again, I don't look at myself as that.
Mm,
I look at myself as someone who's in ordered steps, because even in the law enforcement capacity, I was still in a position of service. You know, um, I was an instructor, I was an investigator, but I worked violent crimes. So the
mm-hmm,
homicides, the child sexual assaults, the
mm,
child abuse cases, I worked those types of cases. So it was a service that I felt that I was providing, like I was a voice for the voiceless,
mm.
because those victims oftentimes couldn't speak for themselves, or if they did, they couldn't converse correctly or say what needed to be said. So I was their voice.
And as I'm listening to you and speaking with you, when you think about where you came from and where you are now, what are some of those lessons that you learned?
Um, a lesson that I learned is not trusting the wrong people. Every smiling face doesn't mean that they're your friend or they're for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a lot of bumps in the road along the way, but also to not make be bitter about that, because a lot of people did come in my life who were very meaningful and impactful and provided help with nothing in return, expecting absolutely nothing in return. So I pray about everything and I let God be my guide throughout life, because a lot of those bumps in the relationships that I had that I thought were meaningful
Mm-hmm.
turned out not to be, because I was going on my own feelings and what I wanted to do instead of relying on what God wanted me to do. So
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot of that, to rely on my discernment, because I have a very keen spirit of discernment. But oftentimes, like I said, I did what Tisha wanted to do as opposed to what God told me to do.
Mm. Wow. Okay, we're going to take a pause right there. That's a great place to pause. And we're going to be right back. Listen, folks, we've been talking with Latisha Walker, the Orangeburg County Councilwoman and best-selling author. And I want to come back, Latisha, and we're going to talk about the Tiffany Grant Foundation.
Okay.
There's so many things that I want to ask you, but I know this is one that I really want to talk with you about because I want to see how the community can help you.
Okay.
Okay, we'll be right
Yes,
back.
ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Orangeburg County Conference Center supports downtown Orangeburg and our surrounding communities. The 6,000 plus square foot space is ideal for groups of up to 400 people attending corporate meetings, conventions, workshops, and special events. Conference Center staff are inspired to ensure that everyone can enjoy the modern amenities. State-of-the-art ballroom that accommodates up to 400 guests banquet style and 430 guests theater style. A warming kitchen with hot boxes, ice machine, refrigerator, freezer, and counter space. A lobby that accommodates 150 guests with special events outdoors. The comfortable outdoor amphitheater has a video wall and seating. Adjacent to the amphitheater is 12,000 plus square feet of green space that extends events outside, plus complimentary on-site event parking and additional parking across the street. Your event can take place all in one spectacular location. We welcome your special event in Orangeburg.
Stay tuned. You are now watching The Tammy Show. This is Roger Gas. Welcome.
Welcome back to the show. We're here with County Councilwoman Latisha Walker. Yes, and she's been talking with us. I said she was a best-selling author. There's so many aspects to your life. And I can touch on all of them, but I know one thing that I do want to ask you about. You're the CEO of the Tiffany Grant Foundation. I want you to tell us a little bit about Tiffany Grant, who she is, and about your foundation.
Okay, so Tiffany Grant was my younger sister who passed away at the brink of COVID. She was diagnosed with the flu, and my sister called me. I never forgot. My sister called me on Valentine's Day of 2019, and she said, "Girl, how about I got the flu?" And I said, "How'd you get the flu?" I'm like, "You got your vaccinations." She was a nurse, so she stayed at the doctor's office. She would self-diagnose herself. She was one of those people. She took care of herself. But 2 days later, I got a call that my sister was on the floor unresponsive, and my sister passed away on the 16th. So that was the deepest, darkest point in my life. I can't even begin to describe how I felt, because when I tell you depression set in, I suffered from severe depression for about a year. I laid in the floor of my den and just couldn't move. I was angry when I would wake up in the morning and I would see the light glaring through the blinds, because I knew that was another day that I had to deal with the pain of not having my sister. And my husband, he tried to do everything possible that he could, to help me get through the process. But, there was nothing he could do. And he then came to me and he said, "Well, hey," he said, "you know how Tiffany was about education." He said, "Why don't you sell her scrubs and create a scholarship for nursing students?" And when I tell you, my sister had scrubs in every color, every name brand, Timberland. I mean, because she was a shopaholic. But I said, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Well, guess what? I did the scholarship, but I never sold the scrubs. And
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So, but we did award a young lady by the name of Kanisha Smalls with the $1,000 scholarship to help her with nursing school. And she's doing really well. She's graduated college. She was on the dean's list each semester, and she's now a nurse.
Mm.
So she's doing really, really well. But when I knew that I was gonna retire, I said, well, I want to expand it and not only offer scholarships, I want to implement youth programs and I want to help the community. Um, while at public safety in Orangeburg, um, I was over the juvenile division. So we had many community events. I remember one time we had a basketball tournament with the police officers versus the community members.
Mm.
And that it was phenomenal and it was very instrumental in bringing the officers together with the community because oftentimes they see police officers just riding around in a car. And that day they were able to put a person with a name and a personality. And we were able to solve a lot of crimes as a result of that because now people can call the police department and say, hey, can I speak to Officer Mitch? First name basis,
Mm-hmm.
Officer Shane.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they were able to give information. So I took the experience that I had, life experience, plus the experience in law enforcement in dealing with the community, and implemented it into what the Tiffany Grant Foundation came together to offer.
Right.
Our mission is serving youth and vulnerable populations are our main focus. Of
Okay.
course, we have a homeless initiative, Project Warm Streets,
Mm-hmm.
and I value that personally. And what we do is we target the people who are unhoused, and we provide them with hygiene products, blankets, sweater hats, clothes. I even bought hand warmers, and we provide readily accessible food items um,
Mm-hmm.
to the homeless population. And then we also target the seniors. Um, a couple of weeks ago, we provided seniors, I think it was over 50 seniors in Orangeburg with heaters. And we also went to the nursing home for Christmas. And um, my sorority sisters, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, um, we provided the nursing home with over 90 blankets for the seniors at
Wow.
the nursing home. Yeah, so we're working.
Wow.
Yeah, we're
Wonderful.
working. Thank
Wonderful. Well,
you.
we're gonna ask you at the end of the show how folks can help with the
Okay.
Tiffany Grant Foundation. Now I want to kind of shift the focus a little bit because you are the Orangeburg County Councilwoman.
Yes.
And what do you think are the most pressing issues in Orangeburg that need to be addressed at this time?
One of the most pressing issues that I'm contacted about all the time is the crime. Um, Crime is everywhere, of course, but my district in particular, one particular area, there's a lot of seniors who are dealing with gunfire all times of the night.
Hmm.
Um, and what I did to try and give them a little solace in their homes, because they worked hard. They worked hard all of their lives to not be able to enjoy their homes. So I put cameras throughout my district to give them a little bit of solidity, you know,
Mhm.
in their
Mhm.
homes. The cameras have been working well. It hasn't completely stopped the gunfire, but it's minimized it.
Mhm. Mhm. Wow. And that's wonderful. I mean, because when people think about safety, especially for our more mature teenagers, as we call them,
Right, right.
that need that safe, that's wonderful. A camera can do a whole lot because it can tell you who's out there and you can see what's going on. And so
Yes.
there's no denying that that's not me. Some people say that's not me, but the camera, with candid camera, it will show you.
That's right.
Latisha, there's so many things that I want to talk to you about. I'm going to have you come back, but you are a best-selling author, and I got some folks asking, okay, talk about the book. You were one of the authors on the book Beyond Boundaries.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the book and how you got involved in this project.
The book Beyond Boundaries it's compounds of many magnificent people from all over. We were afforded the opportunity to write a chapter in the book in our honorary doctorate program. And I remember reading the titles and going through, and I'm like, okay, which title did I want to write about? Which title? And it was Empowering the Next Generation, chapter 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote the chapter and was real about it, because again, sometimes, like they say, closed mouths don't get fed, but closed mouths can't teach someone something. So if you hold everything in, the next person can't learn from you or be motivated by you.
Mm-hmm.
Because the last thing that I want someone to do, my girls, number one, include, they hear this all the time, is make excuses for your situation. And to feel that, oh, I can't do this. I'm a living testimony. You can do whatever it is you want to do.
Come on. Come on.
So, like I said, it's compiled of phenomenal authors with different chapters. Some speak about business growth, philanthropy. We had one young lady in our class. I know she was the owner of, I believe, 6 Wingstop restaurants. She had 3 other businesses. So there are some phenomenal people who actually wrote chapters in that book that you can actually learn from.
Wow. Well, listen, you're going to have to come back and we're going to have to talk to some of those authors and have you all as a panel on the
Oh,
show.
yeah.
Yeah, I would love that. KJ just made a comment and he said that he wants to get in contact with you. And he's in a whole nother city across the country. And he wants to do a cookout for the homeless. And so I'm pretty
Oh, that
sure
would
you
be
can, yeah,
magnificent.
you can
Yes.
talk
Oh,
with
my
him
goodness.
and work him through that, help him
Sure.
as he's working in his community and doing
Sure.
things. But I want to ask you, what is the takeaway that you want viewers to learn about you and from this interview?
The takeaway is, number one, I don't believe, like I said earlier, that there's nothing special about me. I am who I am because of God's favor and God's anointing. Um, I'm just like everybody else. I've been through the struggle, still struggle sometimes. One thing I did learn to do is smile, even on the bad days, because
Mm,
someone else is wanting to be in your shoes, and you may think your day is so, or your life is so horrible, but someone else would love to be in your shoes.
that's right.
So, um, if I could leave someone with something or some words of empowerment, it would be shoot for the stars. You can do and
Mm,
be anything you want to be. Anything. You just have to stay
wow.
focused.
Wow, shoot for the stars. Well, the last question I always ask everybody, and like I said, I'm going to have you come back on because we've still got more to talk about, more to learn from you, Latisha, because you're a business coach as well. But the last thing I want to ask you is, what are the 3 words that describe Latisha Walker?
Um, I'm going to do 2 in 1, but
Okay.
self-motivated. Self-motivated would be one word. Um, Driven and determined.
Mm-hmm. Okay, driven and determined, self-motivated, driven and determined. Wow. Letitia, I can't say anything else, but thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Words of encouragement. I tell you, you have just encouraged me as you always do. And I just want to say thank you and tell us what we can do to be a part of the Tiffany Grant Foundation.
Okay. Well, people always talk about money. Money does make the world go around, so to speak, but we love good volunteers as well. Um, we have many different programs that we do. So if you would love to volunteer, you can contact us at our email address at info @tiffanygrantfoundation.org
Okay.
and contact us to let us know you want to volunteer, or on our website tiffanygrantfoundation.org. If you would like to make a donation, you can make a donation at TGF38 on Cash App.
Okay. All right. All right, Willie. I know he's putting the info. He was getting ready to make sure that we have the info at tiffanygrantfoundation.org, and then you
Yes,
said TGF38, which is your Cash App. And
yes.
so we want to thank you again. And listen, if there's anything that I can do or that we can do here, our team can do. You've got it. All
Thank you
you
so
have to do
much.
is just call. All you have to do is call. But
Thank you.
Latisha, I am so honored to have you on the show. I'm so honored to know you and all that you've accomplished. And I'm telling you, you're a trailblazer.
Well, thank you very
So,
much. I appreciate that. Thank
so
you.
you just hold on to that. You're a trailblazer. TiffanyGrantFoundation.org, folks, if you want to get in touch with Mrs. Latisha Walker,
And we're
Councilwoman.
on all social media platforms as well, Facebook, Instagram. So you can
Okay.
contact us.
And that's Tiffany Grant Foundation.
Yes, on Facebook.
Okay, on
Yeah.
Facebook. All
Mhm.
right. All right. Miss Latisha, thank you, thank you, thank you. God
Thank
bless you.
you.
Love you so
Thank you so
much.
much. Love you too. Thank you.
And have a happy new year, a blessed year.
Thank you. You do the same.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. Take care. Bye
Okay.
bye.
Bye bye.
All right, folks. Listen, you heard it right here. Councilwoman Latisha Walker. I tell you what, phenomenal and amazing woman. And so I want to thank you folks for tuning in. Thank you again, Mrs. Latisha Walker. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to KJ, to Connie, to everybody that joined the show. Thank you for always tuning in right here to Tammy on the Tammy Show, the Tammy TV show on YouTube channel. Next week, we have another guest, a great guest that's going to be on with us. And so I want you to tune in 7 o'clock on Thursdays. I want to thank my producers, Alicia, assistant producers, Tiana and Willie. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to the Tammy TV show. That's on the YouTube channel. You hit that red subscribe button. Let's remember, be a blessing to somebody today and every day. It's all about checking on our neighbors and loving one another. You may not like what they do, but let's continue to love, because that's what God says. We're to love. Thank you again for joining us, and take care of yourself. Until the next time, bye-bye.